colonialism. By mourning and praising the Queen, you are celebrating colonialism. You are not different from Helen Zille. We were not colonized by the land called Britain. We were colonized by the leadership of Britain that killed our people. So we must not be asked to do wrong things here. We are very clear. The Queen does not represent anything good. Britain has got a lot of gold, yet they don't have a single mine of gold. Those are stolen goods. We must talk about reparation. We must talk about the return of the gold. We must talk about the return of the stolen diamond, and not these other side issues which are not important to us. How can you be oppressed for so many years? After liberation, you've got nothing to show that we have been liberated. You have no land, you have got no bank, you've got no mine. The only thing you have is a hatred of other Africans. It was this Queen who gave us surnames, by the way. This Britain we did not have surnames. We were calling each other the surnames and the addresses. We did not have an address because they move up from year to year according to the season. So today we are given address, we are given borders, we are given surnames because we must be controlled by a certain nation which we must celebrate. We as black people, everywhere else we are one thing.
Hello and welcome, family, to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Seraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life very much, family, on your own terms. The Queen is dead. London Bridge has fallen, however you want to put it. And the reason I'm even putting out these videos, I've actually been led by Spirit to do this, is to counter the narrative and to give you the real picture of how people are taking it on the motherland. And you know, the way I've been following this conversation on Twitter, I think that's where a lot of Africans have just been coming and just fungoing roha, as we say, opening up their hearts, man, saying it as it really is. And you should definitely check out hashtag African. And you know, there's a lot where there's this one guy who just describes everything. Oh, sorry, a lady, Judicelle Uakoze. She says, you know, British colonialism was horribly aggressive, but also gaslighting. They created upper classes who were puppets of colonialism. So the evil done always looked like it's collaboration between England and colonized lands. They raised a generation of Africans who romanticize the divided kingdom. And that's actually what has been the biggest problem, is because there was a generation family who were brainwashed to actually romanticize the Queen and the royal family and the carriages and the gold and the diamonds, all stolen from here. But it was like part of the brainwashing because it was Mzungus who came and educated them. And they were the ones who were groomed then. They always wanted to send their children to British schools. Still this day, they're still sending their children to these foreign schools and continuing the brainwashing and this romanticizing. I mean, the most tragic thing is when you hear one of our fellow Africans saying, oh, I mean, you know, colonialism ended a long time ago. It's no longer, it's a non-issue. It's still continuing till today. We're in a neo-colonial order. Here in Kenya, we have like 3,000 British troops on the soil. You think that's freedom? And every British colony has some kind of military presence. Is that freedom? They're there to protect their people and their assets and to make themselves win. So the Africans have really been coming out and speaking their minds, you know, and a lot of Africans were actually speaking against their presidents who were so quick to say, oh, my deepest, they have to. They're like, it's like you're running what do you call it? Like a domain for the Queen. Even when you saw Charles's response, all the realms are mourning and all this. It's just and the Commonwealth and blah blah blah. So there's one guy who said, "Can someone take Cyril Ramaphosa's phone? He's already saying on behalf of South Africans, I wish to express my profound and sincere condolences to His Majesty blah 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 on the passing of blah blah blah," instead of saying on my behalf. And that's what a lot of, no more of this charades, family. Africa has been in a charades, and that is what has maintained the neo-colonial order. They laugh and keep it all, pretty and so-called elegant in your face. But the things that are happening behind the scenes, no one wants to address. I mean, it's crazy that you get British people saying they're Kenyans. Like how? Where? Not like that when things haven't been resettled and you would never in your life want to mingle with an African. It doesn't work like that. And I think what you're going to start to see now is a lot of people are going to start leaving the realms. A lot of these Mzungus are going to start heading back. And, it's just the season. And a lot of, the Queen of the South is here. I keep saying it. So many people are. Allegedly, get this numerology. There are only 22 countries that Britain never invaded throughout history. British ships transported a total of 3 million Africans to the New World as slaves, an empire that brought misery and famine to Asia and Africa. No tears for the Queen, no tears for the British monarchy. Others are saying Africans are going to see their leaders mourning the matriarch of the world's largest crime family tomorrow, most of which are against Africans, and they will still feel led. And the funny thing is, family, once again, Malema, they literally handed Malema this one, where the EFF actually released a statement. I'm actually looking for it right now, where they were saying, on behalf of they take note. I actually wanted to read the whole thing for you. Let me just find it. It's been searched by so many people. Malema Queen. And I just wanted to read it because I think he's the only African leader who has really captured the mood of Africa right now. And he says, the economic freedom fighters notes the death of Elizabeth Alexandra, Mary Windsor, blah, 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 and the ceremonial head of state of several countries that were colonized by the divided kingdom. Elizabeth ascended to the throne in 1952, reigning for 70 years as a head of an institution built upon, sustained, and living off a brutal legacy of dehumanization of millions of people across the world. And he went on to say, we do not mourn the death of Elizabeth because to us her death is a reminder of a very tragic period in the country and Africa's history. Britain, under the leadership of the royal family, took over control of this territory that would become South Africa. And he goes on to explain that this happened in 1975 from Batavian control and took permanent control of the territory in 1806. From that moment onwards, native people of this land have never known peace, nor have they ever enjoyed the fruits and riches of this land, riches which were and still are utilized for the enrichment of the British royal family and those who look like them. From 1811, Sir John Cradock declared war against the Amakosa in the Zurveld in what is now known as the Eastern Cape until 1906, when the British crushed the Bambatha Rebellion. Our interaction with Britain under the leadership of the British royal family has been one of pain and suffering, of death and dispossession, and of the dehumanization of African people. Remember now, Nsele died in the aftermath of the Fifth Frontier War, how King Ahimsa was killed like a dog. Sorry, it's not funny. I'm just loving the bluntness of it. Because people are out here on these streets saying, oh, come on, Africans, be sensitive. Someone has died. What? Politeness is what has killed us and continues to kill us. He says, who died like a dog on the 11th of May, 1835 during the Sixth Frontier War and had his body mutilated and his head taken to Britain as a trophy. Whoa, that's similar to what happened to the Nandi, the great Nandi, prophet and leader, Samoy. They tricked him. He was able to have a resistance against the people. I've actually done a whole show on this, so definitely check it out on the main channel. And he like he totally had held such a huge resistance against the British army, and they couldn't penetrate him. So they tricked him, saying they wanted to have like a peace treaty, and each man should bring 5 people. The British came with 95 people or something like that. 5 of them came, but the others were hidden around, and they literally massacred the king and took his head. And his head is still in the divided kingdom today. Our people have been demanding it, and they still keep it. I think they've had it for like 117 years. These are people you're mourning, family, please. Because this is the web of lies. You see, the lies are sustained by you wanting to be nice and you wanting to be polite. When our ancestors went to reclaim what had been theirs, then they were chilling, living their best life, and the invasion came to them. And their life was turned upside down. That's what they were fighting for. But this whole thing, you see, they romanticize Babylon to our parents' generation, and then our parents tried to romanticize it to their children. But you can see, like, the tone is different now. The truth is out there. People have done their research. People know of the atrocities of Britain. You see, before, Britain was holding the global narrative like with an iron fist, where there was nothing contrary that was accepted. If you did, you'd be taken out. But now, with the information age, so many people have done their research. And with getting a camera in everybody's hand, so many of our shoshos and gukas, our grandmothers and our grandfathers, have told the story of the atrocities. Like, I'm shocked because they also kept the head of our leader. That's crazy, man. They say, it was also the British royal family that sanctioned the actions of Cecil John Rhodes, who plundered this country, Zimbabwe and Zambia. It was the British royal family that benefited from the brutal mutilation of people of Kenya, whose valiant resistance to British colonialism invited vile responses from Britain. In Kenya, Britain built concentration camps. I talked about this in my show. Definitely check out my show where I talk about how Kenya's recent election is very much linked to to Lisbeth exiting stage left. And he says, with such inhumane brutality, the Mau Mau rebellion, killing Dedan Kimathi on the 18th of February 1957, while Elizabeth was already queen. And they've never told us where the body of Dedan Kimathi was buried, because they didn't want it to become a shrine. They didn't want it to become a pilgrimage and have any kind of, they thought they would kill his spirit forever. As in, they buried him somewhere in a shallow grave. Maybe they even took his body back. Then he talked about, the family plundered India via the East India Company. It took over control and oppressed the people of the Caribbean islands. Their thirst for riches led to the famine that caused millions of people to die in Bengal. And their racism led to the genocide of Aboriginal people in Australia. Elizabeth Windsor, during her lifetime, never acknowledged these crimes that Britain and her family in particular perpetuated across the world. In fact, she was a proud flag bearer of these atrocities, because during her reign, when the people of Yemen rose to protest against British colonialism in 1963, Elizabeth ordered a brutal suppression of that uprising. During her 70-year reign, she never once acknowledged the atrocities that her family inflicted on native people that Britain invaded across the world. She willingly benefited from the wealth that was attained from their exploitation and murder of millions of people across the world. The British royal family stands on the shoulders of millions of slaves who were shipped away from the continent to serve the interests of racist white capital accumulation, at the center of which lies the British royal family. If there is really life and justice after death, may Elizabeth and her ancestors get what they deserve. And it's signed Economic Freedom Fighters. This is what Africans have resonated with. This is the truth. Because many of us have returned here. We are the spirit of the ancestors returned. Many of us, the ancestors have been celebrating through us the end of this extremely cruel rule. And you see, being nice has never gotten Africa anywhere. In fact, it's made our slave owners and colonialists laugh at us and think we're dumb and stupid. But this, what they had to say, that's what truly captured the imagination of the people. This is the narrative that Africans are connecting to, which tells you a new day is here. Revolution is already unfolding on the motherland. What an honor that we get to be part of it. Tuko pamoja. Looking for a conscious community, or for people, who are on their awakening journey, on their transition to an off-grid living in your country, well, we have the solution, family. We're calling it Unity Communities. We get so many emails every week from people who ask if I know of people in their region, or people in their city, or people in their town who are on a similar kind of journey, who have broken away or are breaking away from the religious psychosis, and they're looking for just people who think the same way in their town, in their city. But more importantly, to give us a community where we feel understood, understood, overstood, where we can bond with people of like mind. And if you feel called to be part of this, definitely email me at drmumbi at drmumbishow.com. Please put your country in the subject line with Unity Communities. Get in touch with me, drmumbi at drmumbishow.com. Unity Communities.
Wake up!